Hello everyone and welcome back to the Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel. This is Kelly and I'm so excited to have you here for day 2 of the Make It Merry holiday release. These products will be available at honeybeestamps.com on October the 21st after our release party, so make sure you check out the information in the description box below. So first up for day 2, I have an exciting little collection called Grandma's Christmas Tree. Now this starts out with a fabulous embossing folder. This is a 3D embossing folder, so it has the areas that are pressed into that plastic and then the raised areas that's going to give all that great dimension. Now in the coordinating die set, there are 2 Christmas trees, one that are going to cut out the little holes for your birds and candles and little light bulbs, and then there's also a tree that is just flat and plain, so you could decorate it, add little pearls or gems. And then there's also a coordinating stencil set that is going to make it super easy to blend on color or glitter gels or anything like that. Now here are a couple of the little trees that I have die cut so you can see what they look like. Here's the plain tree without the little slits inside, and then a tree that contains the little places to put your little birds and light bulbs, but also I have used the embossing folder on this. Here's a card created with all 3 of those products. You can see where it has the great dimension from the embossing folder. I've used the die cut with the slits in it and then added the cute little birds and made those into little cardinals. I have done an in-depth video with using this collection for our YouTube hop, which will be out in a few days. So I hope you'll set a little reminder or subscribe so you can check that out. But these are so fun to create different looks for your little ceramic Christmas tree. Now here's a card that I created in one of our live streams. You can see I kept it white, used the embossing folder, added glimmer paste and some of our adhesive gems that look like little ornaments on the tree. Next up is a really fun stamp and die set. This is called Saint Nick, and you have that large Santa Claus down there that is perfect for the corner of your card, and then lots of great sentiments to go with him. We have Santa Claus is coming to town, believe in the magic of Santa, dear Santa, Santa mail, greetings from the North Pole, you're on the nice list. I love that. And then of course there is a coordinating die set that's going to cut out that large, beautiful Santa Claus and all of those sentiments. Our Holly Jolly background stamp is a great addition to add with the little Santa Claus. It's so cute paired well together. But all of these little sayings are all about Christmas and Santa Claus and the reindeer. So we have Vixen and Saint Nick and Santa Claus, Holly Jolly Christmas, you better watch out, you better not cry. 'Twas the night before Christmas, making a list and checking it twice, milk and cookies, and I love the variations in font here. So there's some scripty fonts and some big, bold, standout fonts. Now there's also a small coordinating die set that goes along with this that's going to cut out some of those larger words. So that's a fun addition. So you can stamp that down, die cut that, pop that up along with your Santa Claus on the front. These paired together with the cute little Saint Nick stamp and die cut make just a beautiful classic Christmas card. Here's a beautiful card made by Lisa. I just love this vintage looking Christmas card. She's added glitter onto the Santa's hat and cuffs and then paired that with that background stamp. It's absolutely gorgeous. Next up is our super cute bear hugs stamp and coordinating die set. This little polar bear is all wrapped up in a sweater and Christmas lights and even has a little star on his head. There's some great greetings in this stamp set, including thank you very much, love you, I come bearing gifts, I can't bear that we're so far apart, have a very good Christmas, and then of course there is the coordinating die set that's going to cut out the little polar bear and all of those greetings, including the little star, so you could pop that up on his little head. Now here's a couple of cards. The first one is by Ricky. He's so cute. I love how he's colored all the lights and added that to glimmering, shimmery strips of paper. And then the next card was made by Melissa. Look how adorable this little bear is. I just love her colored pencil coloring, and she's added "Have a very good Christmas." It's adorable. Next up is the Polar Pals stamp and coordinating die set. Now this stamp set has the cutest, sweetest little polar bear, a penguin, and then also a tiny little bird that you could add. Now, there's also great greetings in this one, like "You Melt My Heart," "Baby, It's Cold Outside," "Cold Noses," "Warm Heart," and many more. Now, the coordinating die set will cut out the polar bear, the penguin, the little bird, and all of those great greetings. Now, here is another beautiful card made by Melissa, and I just love her pencil coloring here. I'm in love with the little bear's cheeks, and she added "You Melt My Heart." This is the Artsy Angel stamp set with coordinating dies. So we have this beautiful kind of loose flowy angel, lots of really great beautiful Christmas greetings like "Christ is born," "Peace on earth," "Joy to the world," "O holy night," "Rejoice," and there's lots more. Now the coordinating die set is going to cut out the beautiful angel and all of those beautiful scripty greetings. I'm going to create a card with this at the end of the video, so I hope that you'll stick around for that. And next we have a really fun layering stencil set. This is called Under the Mistletoe. What's so fun about this is you could create kind of the mistletoe look with greens and reds or maybe a red glimmer paste, but this would also be cute for all seasons. You could do green leaves and pink berries maybe in the spring. You could do yellow little berries, so it's kind of fun as a great basic background that you could use all year long. Now here's a look at this done in Christmas colors, so red and green. And you can see there where they look like little sprouts or little mistletoe, and then I've added red berries. Okay, so it's time to get started on today's card. I'm going to use the Artsy Angel stamp and coordinating die set, and I'm going to do a little messy watercoloring on some distress watercolor paper. First, I need to stamp my angel in some watercolor friendly ink. So I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx Black, and I'm using my Misty so I can stamp this several times because that watercolor paper has a little texture to it. I'm using it on the textured side because I want all that great texture in my finished watercolored image. Now I'm going to watercolor with Distress inks, and I'm just going to smush the inks onto my waffle flower media mat there, or stencil mat, and pick those up with a wet brush. So once I get my angel stamped, I did heat set it just to set that ink and speed up that drying process. You can see I just have a basic paintbrush there and a little jar of water, and I'm going to use, like I mentioned, some Distress inks. Now the first shade of ink that I have smushed down onto my mat is the original Distress ink in Tea Dye. I'm going to go in and do all of her skin tones. So she's going to have really beautiful brown tea-dyed skin. I'm doing her little hands and her face, and I'm just doing an all-over wash of color at first, and I'll go back in and add some darker kind of shadowing around her hair and under her neck and her arms later on. But I want to make sure that I get this first little bit of color dried. Now I do use my heat tool just to speed up the drying process. And now I'm going in first with tea dye to get a basic all over coloring of her hair. And I'm going to darken up her hair later so it really stands out. And you can see the difference in color between her face and hands and her hair. Now for her gown, I am using Tumbled glass, and I'm going to go over her little dress or gown in water first. So I'm being careful to kind of go around the lines of her wings and the other parts just to keep the water inside, and then I can wet my brush and pick up the pigment and kind of drop it into that water and spread it around. And just like with her skin and her hair, I'm just dropping in kind of an all over wash of color first, and then I'll go in some some areas and darken up like the creases and the ripples in her gown and some other areas as well. Now, after I get that initial base coat of color down, I dried that layer again with my heat tool. And now I'm going back in with just a little bit of water into that pigment, and I'm adding and darkening areas where I want shadows in the creases, in the cuffs of her little dress, around her hair and neck, and under her arms, and around her wings. And then once I get this area done, I can kind of dry that again and move on to the next part. Now, after setting all those areas and making sure they're nice and dry, I am going to go in and add some honeybee stamps, Be Shimmery, to her wings. Instead of using a distress ink to color that in, I'm coloring it in with this glimmery, shimmery, glittery liquid. And I just kind of squirted some of that out onto my craft mat and am picking it up with my brush. And this is a beautiful shimmery liquid. So her wings, instead of being colored, I'm going in with all of that beautiful glitter. After covering the wings, I'm going back in with a darker distress ink to add shadows and darkness to her hair. And this color is Walnut Stain. So I'm doing that to add some darkness there around her face and into the strands of her hair. And you can see now how that hair is really darkened up, and it sets the hair and the skin tones apart. I also added shadows and some places with the tea dye back into her face, just right around her hairline and to the areas of her hands and her arms that would have shadows on them. And then I heat set all of that again. Now, in this part of the video here, you can really see that shimmery, glimmery, bee shimmery liquid from Honeybee Stamps. And I have die cut that with the coordinating die. Now I'm going to do a background. So I'm spritzing this whole background down with some water, and I'm going in with Tumbled Glass Distress Ink and Uncharted Mariner Distress Ink, is that darker kind of navy blue towards the bottom. And at first I'm going to kind of dot all this on and get kind of that watercolory look, and you can see how beautiful that is and how it kind of wicks out in the spritzed water. Now, once I get this area all done, I kind of hold my angel up to see how it looks on the background. And I end up in the long run adding some of that light blue all over the background. And when you add your angel onto this, it's going to kind of look like a cloudy sky or a night sky scene. You can see now I'm just adding in more paint to kind of get those blooms of that distress ink and it to make it look watercolory. Now, when I add the olive color, you are going to be able to see this really deep shades and kind of those blooms and messy areas of the distress ink underneath the color. And once I got that all finished, I am ready to set up my card base. This is just a white top folding card base that I'm going to fold down, and it's going to fold up into an A2 size. So I'm going to score it at 5.5 and then crease it down with my Honeybee Stamps bone folder, get a nice sharp crease, and I'm ready to add that background that we made. Now, I did use one of our new embossing folders. I waited for that background to dry and then put that into the Kaleidoscope embossing folder, and I pressed it in. So I'm going to get that really pretty pressed and raised design on the outside, and it just adds a little subtle texture to the outside and gives that front part some dimension. I also splattered on a little bit of white, just acrylic paint onto the front just to give that fun texture. But now you can really see those blooms of color back there that we did with the distress ink. And I like this kind of all over cloudy design, and that angel is going to be really beautiful popped up onto the front of this card. To adhere the angel and give it some dimension, I'm using some of our large tabbed foam dots. I'm going to spread those out over the back side of that angel die cut, and then I can simply just pull back those easy release little tabs there. I love those to kind of get your fingers underneath them. And then I'm going to pop her up right into the center of that kind of cloudy blue background. And I love how everything kind of coordinates, and she's so beautiful and pretty with her glittering wings. And I love how her dress kind of pops off of that blue cloudy background. Now, once I get this all stuck down, I'm ready to add one of the beautiful sentiments from this set. And I decided to use Hark the Herald Angels Sing. I think that's perfect for this card. And I'm using some of our Be Creative clear watermark ink, and I'm barely tapping the door of my Misty so I get a nice impression and it doesn't get too gloppy with the embossing ink. Sometimes embossing inks can do that. If you press too hard, it kind of seeps out around the stamp, the stamped sentiment. Because I want to heat emboss this, and I'm using Brutus Monroe Sterling embossing powder. It's going to go beautifully with the blues and that cloudy kind of looking sky of the background. And you can see how dainty this font is. That's another reason to just lightly press or tap your sentiment when you're stamping it, and not add too much pressure to the Misty door or to your acrylic block. Once I get this heat set and I have it nice and glossy and nice and smooth, I can use the coordinating dies that go along with these sentiments to cut that out. And then I'm able to add that anywhere to the front of my angel card. Because I already have so much fun dimension with that kaleidoscope background, and then my angel is popped up, I simply added some of our Be Creative liquid adhesive to the back of that die cut that has our sentiment on it. And I'm adding that right across the center of her dress. Down there you can see how beautifully that stands out. And I just love the way that this whole background and the watercolory looks with this artsy angel stamp set. Now, to finish this off, I'm going to add some clear gems from our winter gems. This is an adhesive gem pack. You can see all the beautiful blue, clear, silvery colors, but I think that the clear on this, it doesn't take anything away, and it just adds a little pop of sparkle right there around that beautiful silver sentiment. Now I'm going to give you an up close view. You can see all the shimmer in her wings and that beautiful silver sentiment, and then the clear gems added just around the side. I hope you've enjoyed all the products from day 2. Here's a beautiful close-up of the Artsy Angel Stamp and Coordinating Die Set. I hope you'll join me for tomorrow for day 3's products, and make sure you check out that description box below for more information. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.